When 16-year-old Zara Washington walked through Millfield Park after debate practice, she never expected to end up in handcuffs. But Judge Victor Harmon had been watching her for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to frame her for a crime she didn't commit. He planted stolen jewelry in the bushes, called the police, and watched as they arrested her. Judge Harmon thought he was so clever. He had a perfect plan to get revenge on his old enemy while protecting his secret criminal network. What he didn't know was that Zara wasn't just any teenager, and her father wasn't just any lawyer. When Zara made her one phone call from the police station, Judge Harmon's perfect plan began to unravel. Because Zara's dad was Marcus Washington, the United States Attorney General, and he was already on his way to Lakeside to save his daughter and expose the truth. Now, as Zara walked with a bounce in her step as she left Lakeside High School, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. Zara Washington walked with a bounce in her step as she left Lakeside High School. The afternoon sun felt warm on her dark skin. Debate club had run late, but she didn't mind. Her team was going to the state finals next month, and she had just nailed her practice speech. "See you tomorrow, Ms. Parker," Zara called to her debate coach. Waving goodbye, Ms. Parker smiled back. "Great job today, Zara. Your argument was rock solid." Zara grinned, hugging her backpack to her chest. She had worked hard on that speech all week. Dad would be proud when she told him tonight during their video call. Since he worked in Washington, D.C. as the Attorney General, their calls were the highlight of her week. Checking the time on her phone, Zara decided to take a shortcut through Millfield Park. If she hurried, she could finish her math homework before dinner with Mom. The park was pretty this time of year, with spring flowers blooming along the walking paths. As Zara entered the park, she didn't notice the black car parked. Nearby, she didn't see the man watching her from behind the steering wheel either. Judge Victor Harmon's eyes narrowed as he spotted the teenage girl. His heart beat faster. After waiting so many years, the moment had finally arrived. Marcus Washington's 23 daughter, right where he expected her to be. "Perfect," he whispered. He watched her walk deeper into the park, then reached into his glove compartment. Inside was a small velvet bag. He slipped it into his pocket and got out of his car. Looking around to make sure no one was watching, Judge Harmon hurried along a parallel path, staying hidden behind the trees. He reached a spot where the paths crossed and quickly dropped several shiny items into the bushes. Then he pulled out his phone. "Wevin, what's your emergency?" the operator answered. "This is Judge Victor Harmon," he said in his most official voice. "I'm at Millfield Park, and I just saw a teenage girl hiding something in the bushes. Given the jewelry store robbery last week, I think you should send someone right away." "We'll dispatch officers immediately, Your Honor," the operator replied. Judge Harmon hung up and smiled. He walked back to his car but didn't leave. He wanted to watch what happened next. Zara was humming to herself, thinking about her debate speech, when she heard sirens. She looked up, surprised to see police cars pulling up at the park entrance. Two officers jumped out and headed straight toward her. "Excuse me, miss," the taller officer called. "Can we talk to you for a minute?" Zara stopped, confused. "Me?" "Yes, you." The officer's hand rested on his belt, near his gun. "What's your name?" "Zara Washington," she answered, her mouth suddenly dry. "Is something wrong?" The second officer, a woman, spoke into her radio. "We've made contact with the suspect." Suspect? Zara's heart began to race. Why were they calling her a suspect? Third police car arrived, and a man in a black suit got out. He walked over and showed a badge. "Detective Morris," he said. "We got a tip that someone matching your description was hiding stolen items in this park. What? No! Zara shook her head hard. I was just walking home from school. I didn't hide anything. Detective Morris didn't look convinced. Would you mind if we search this area? Before Zara could answer, one of the officers was already pushing. Through the bushes near the path. Sir, he called out, I found something. He held up several sparkly items, rings, necklaces, and bracelets that caught the sunlight. Zara gasped. Those aren't mine. I've never seen them before. Detective Morris frowned. They were right where our caller said they would be. But I didn't put them there. Tears filled Zara's eyes. I swear. Judge Harmon chose that moment to approach the group, walking slowly as if he had just noticed the commotion. Everything. All right, officers? He asked in his deep, respected voice. Judge Harmon, Detective Morris nodded respectfully. You were the one who called this in? Yes, the judge said, looking at Zara with fake concern. I was taking my afternoon walk when I saw this young lady hiding something in those bushes. Zara stared at the judge in shock. What? No, I didn't hide anything. I don't even know you. Judge Tao Chu Harmon ignored her protest. I recognized the behavior from my years on the bench. Furtive movements, looking around to see if anyone was watching. When I heard about the jewelry store robbery, I thought it might be connected. This is crazy, Zara whispered, tears now running down her cheeks. I was just walking home from debate club. The female officer looked through Zara's backpack. She found school books, debate notes, and a water bottle. Nothing suspicious. No other stolen items in her bag, she reported. She probably stashed the most valuable pieces somewhere else, Judge Harmon suggested. Smart criminals often spread out their loot. I'm not a criminal, Zara's voice cracked, but no one seemed to be listening to her. Detective Morris nodded. To the other officers, Zara Washington, you're under arrest for possession of stolen property, he said, pulling out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As the cold metal closed around her wrists, Zara couldn't believe this was happening. Her perfect day had turned into a nightmare in minutes. Please, she begged, call my mom. This is all a mistake. You'll get your phone call at the station, Detective Morris said, leading her toward the police car. As Zara was placed in the back seat, she looked out the window and saw Judge Harmon watching. For just a second, his concerned expression changed. A small, satisfied smile crossed his face before he turned away. In that moment, Zara knew something was very wrong. This wasn't just a mistake. Someone had set her up. The police car pulled away from Millfield Park. Zara sat in the back seat, the handcuffs cold against her wrists. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. Through the window, houses and trees passed by in a blur. None of this made sense. 15 minutes later, they arrived at the Lakeside Police Station. Detective Morris led Zara through a side door, past curious stares from officers at their desks. This way, he said, guiding her into a small room with just a table and 2 chairs. Wait here. The door closed with a heavy click. Zara tried to wipe her tears, but the handcuffs made it difficult. She looked around the blank walls and felt her stomach twist into knots. After what seemed like forever, the door opened again. A tall officer with gray hair walked in carrying a file folder. I'm Officer Dennis Jenkins, he said, sitting across from her. Let's get your handcuffs off and start processing you. He unlocked the metal cuffs, and Zara rubbed her sore wrists. Processing? She asked in a small voice. Fingerprints, photo, questions, Officer Jenkins said flatly. He opened the folder and took out a form. Says here, you were caught with stolen jewelry from Pearson's jewelry store. Robbery happened last Thursday night. Over $50,000 in merchandise taken. I didn't steal anything, Zara said. I don't know anything about any robbery. Officer Jenkins didn't look up from his paperwork. Judge Harmon saw you hiding the evidence. Are you saying a respected judge is lying? Zara felt trapped. I don't know why he said that. I was just walking home from school. Uh-huh. Officer Jenkins clearly didn't believe her. Stand up. We need your fingerprints and photo. He led her to a small area with a height chart on the wall and a camera on a tripod. Zara stood where he pointed, fighting back more tears as the camera flashed. Next came the fingerprinting. Black ink pressed against each finger, then rolled onto a card. When can I call my mom? Zara asked as Officer Jenkins finished with her fingerprints. Soon, he said. First, why don't you tell me where the rest of the jewelry is? Make things easier on yourself. There is no rest of the jewelry, Zara insisted. I didn't take anything. Officer Jenkins sighed like he'd heard this 1,000 times before. You were caught red-handed. The judge saw you hiding stolen goods. We found the evidence exactly where he said it would be. Someone put those things there before I walked by, Zara said. That judge is lying. Officer Jenkins's face hardened. Watch your mouth, young lady. Judge Harmon has served this community for 20 years. He's got no reason to make up stories about some random kid. But I'm not random, Zara thought. Something about this felt personal, but she didn't understand why. Look, Officer Jenkins continued, juvenile detention isn't so bad. You'll do a few months, maybe a year if the judge is tough. Learn your lesson and move on. Zara shook her head in disbelief. Juvenile detention? For something I didn't do? That's up to the judge, Officer Jenkins said, gathering his papers. Now, you want that phone call or not? Yes, please, Zara whispered. He led her to a phone mounted on the wall and showed her how to dial out. One call, he warned. Make it count. I'll give you some privacy, but don't try anything funny. When Officer Jenkins stepped away, Zara took a deep breath and dialed her dad's number. Her hands shook so badly she had to try twice. This is Marcus Washington, her father's voice answered on the third ring. Dad, Zara's voice broke. Dad, I'm in trouble. Zara, what's wrong? His calm voice immediately filled with concern. I'm at the police station, she said, the words catching in her throat. They arrested me. They're saying I stole jewelry, but I didn't. I was just walking home through the park and... Slow down, honey, Marcus said firmly. Take a breath and tell me exactly what happened. Zara tried to explain about the park, the judge, the planted jewelry, and the arrest. As she spoke, she could hear her father's breathing change. Are you hurt? He asked when she finished. No, Zara said. Just scared. Listen to me very carefully, Marcus said in his serious voice. Don't say anything else to anyone. Don't answer any more questions. Just tell them your father is coming, and you won't speak without him present. Can you do that? Yes, Zara nodded, even though he couldn't see her. I'm leaving D.C. right now, Marcus promised. I'll be there as soon as I can. Be brave, Zara. I love you. I love you too, Dad, she whispered. As she hung up, Officer Jenkins returned. All done? Zara stood up straight, her father's words giving her strength. My dad is coming. I won't answer any more questions until he gets here. Officer Jenkins shrugged. Sure, call whoever you want. It won't help you now. If only he knew who her father was, Zara thought. But she kept quiet. She'd seen enough TV shows to know her rights, and her dad had always taught her to be smart, in difficult situations. What she didn't understand was why that judge had lied about her. As Officer Jenkins led her to a holding cell. One question kept spinning in her mind. What did Judge Victor Harmon have against her family? Marcus Washington was in the middle of a meeting when his phone rang. He normally silenced calls during important discussions, but seeing his daughter's name on the screen sent a chill through him. Zara never called during school hours. "Excuse me," he said to the room full of Justice Department officials. "I need to take this." He stepped into the hallway, straightening his tie with one hand as he answered. "This is Marcus Washington." The sound of his daughter's voice, broken and scared, made his blood run cold. "Dad! Dad! I'm in trouble!" As Zara explained what had happened between sobs, Marcus gripped the phone tighter. His first instinct was to tell her who he was. That her father wasn't just any lawyer, but the United States Attorney General. That with one call, he could have every officer in that station scrambling to release her. But something held him back. 20 years as a prosecutor had taught him caution. If someone had deliberately targeted Zara, revealing his position too soon might make things worse. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice steady despite the anger building inside him. "No, just scared." "Listen to me very carefully," Marcus said. "Don't say anything else to anyone. Don't answer any more questions. Just tell them your father is coming, and you won't speak without him present. Can you do that?" "Yes," Zara replied. "I'm leaving D.C. right now," Marcus promised. "I'll be there as soon as I can. Be brave, Zara. I love you." "I love you too, Dad." When the call ended, Marcus stood frozen for a moment. His daughter, his only child, was sitting in a jail cell for something she didn't do. And a judge was involved? It didn't make sense. He rushed back into the meeting room, grabbing his briefcase. "I need to leave immediately," he announced. "Family. Emergency." His deputy, Elena Torres, followed him into the hallway. "Sir? What's happened?" "Zara's been arrested back home in Lakeside," Marcus said, already dialing his assistant's number. "It's a setup. I need to get there now." "Arrested?" Elena looked shocked. "For what?" "Allegedly hiding stolen jewelry in a park," Marcus said. As his assistant, Kim, answered the phone. "Kim, I need the department jet ready in 30 minutes. Family emergency. Cancel everything on my schedule for the next 2 days." "Even the White House meeting tomorrow morning?" Kim asked. "Everything," Marcus confirmed. "My daughter needs me." After hanging up, Marcus hurried toward the elevator with Elena still following. "Sir, do you want me to make some calls?" she asked. "I have contacts in Lakeside who—" "Not yet," Marcus cut her off. "Something's not right. A judge claimed to have seen Zara hiding stolen goods. That's too specific to be a random mistake." The elevator doors opened and they stepped inside. "Which judge?" Elena asked. Marcus realized Zara hadn't mentioned a name. "I don't know yet, but I intend to find out." As the elevator descended, Marcus's mind raced. In his position, he'd made plenty of enemies. Crime bosses he'd prosecuted, corrupt politicians he'd investigated. But who would go after his daughter? And why in Lakeside, where they only stayed during school breaks? Their family home was there, but Marcus hadn't lived in Lakeside full-time since accepting his first Justice Department position years ago. Zara was only there now because she'd insisted on finishing high school in their hometown while living with her grandmother instead of moving to D.C. with him after her mother's death last year. "Sir?" Elena's voice broke through his thoughts. "You should know something's happening with the Westlake case. Senator Bryant called twice today." "The Westlake investigation will have to wait," Marcus said firmly as they reached the parking garage. "Right now, my daughter comes first." In his car, Marcus called his mother-in-law, Vivian, who was supposed to be watching Zara while he was in D.C. "Marcus," Vivian answered, "I was about to call you. The school just phoned asking why Zara never came home. They said she left debate club hours ago." "She's been arrested, Vivian," Marcus explained quickly. "I'm on my way there now. Don't worry. I'll handle it." "Arrested? My Zara?" Vivian's voice rose in panic. "That's impossible." "I know. Someone's behind this. Just stay home in case she calls there." After hanging up, Marcus drove faster toward the airfield. On the highway, he passed a billboard for a law firm with a familiar face, Judge Victor Harmon, back when he was still an attorney. Marcus nearly swerved off the road. Harmon. Could it be him after all these years? Marcus's mind flashed back to his early career as a prosecutor in Lakeside. The case that made his reputation, and the defense attorney who'd tried to bribe witnesses to lie. Victor Harmon had escaped disbarment through his connections, and Marcus had moved away soon after. His reputation in the small town tarnished by rumors, Harmon spread. Had Harmon become a judge? Was this revenge, using Zara as a pawn? On the private jet, Marcus stared out the window at the clouds below. 3 hours. That's how long it would take to reach Lakeside. 3 hours while his daughter sat alone in a cell. "Hold on, Zara," Hipoit whispered. "Dad's coming." Back at the Lakeside police station, Zara sat on a hard bench in a holding cell. The room was small with just the bench, a toilet, and a tiny sink. No windows. The only light came from a fixture in the ceiling covered by a metal screen. Zara had stopped crying, but her eyes still felt puffy and sore. A young female officer had brought her a sandwich and a small carton of milk, but Zara couldn't eat. Her stomach was tied in knots. She kept checking the clock on the wall. How long? Would it take her dad to get here? 3 hours? 4? The sound of voices in the hallway made her look up. She heard someone say, "Judge Harmon," and her heart skipped a beat. Why was he here? The cell door opened, and Police Chief Roy Benson stepped in. He was a big man with a thick mustache and tired eyes. "Miss Washington," he said, "please come with." "Me?" Zara stood up slowly. "My dad said I shouldn't answer any more questions until he gets here." Chief Benson nodded. "No more questions right now, but Judge Harmon has asked to speak with you." The judge who lied about me? Zara couldn't keep the anger from her voice. Why would I want to talk to him? The chief's eyebrows rose slightly. "Young lady, that's a serious accusation. Judge Harmon is here to help sort this out. He thinks there might be a misunderstanding." Zara didn't believe that for a second, but she had no choice. She followed Chief Benson down the hallway to a small conference room. Inside, Judge Victor Harmon sat at a table with a folder in front of him. He looked different than he had in the park, more official in his dark suit and red tie. "Thank you, Chief," Judge Harmon said with a smile. "I'd like to speak with Miss Washington alone, if possible. Judge to defendant, so to speak." "Chief," Benson hesitated. "She's a minor, Your Honor. We should have a parent or guardian present." "I understand your concern," Judge Harmon said smoothly. "But I'm not questioning her. I'm here to offer guidance from my years of experience with young offenders. I've helped many troubled teens see the error of their ways." "I'm not a troubled teen," Zara said firmly. "And I haven't made any errors," Judge Harmon chuckled. "Spirited, isn't she?" "5 minutes, Chief. Just 5 minutes." Chief Benson looked uncomfortable, but nodded. 5 minutes. Then we continue by the book. When the door closed behind him, Judge Harmon's friendly smile vanished. His eyes turned cold as he stared at Zara. "Sit down," he ordered. Zara remained standing. "My dad is coming. He told me not to say anything to anyone." "Your dad?" Judge Harmon's mouth twisted into an ugly smirk. "Yes, let's talk about your father, Marcus Washington." Hearing her dad's name from this man's lips sent a chill through Zara. "How do you know my dad?" she asked. Judge Harmon ignored her question. "Sit down, or I'll tell the chief you were uncooperative and disrespectful. That won't help your case." Reluctantly, Zara sat in the chair farthest from him. Judge Harmon opened the folder and pretended to read it. Zara Washington, age 16. Excellent student, debate team captain. No prior trouble with the law. He looked up at her. "Until today, I didn't do anything wrong," Zara said. "Evidence says otherwise," Judge Harmon replied. "Those stolen items were found exactly where I saw you hide them." "You're lying." Zara's hands clenched into fists. "You put those things there yourself. I saw your face when they put me in the police car." "You smiled!" A flash of surprise crossed Judge Harmon's face, quickly replaced by anger. "No one will believe that. It's your word against mine, and I've been a respected judge in this town for 20 years. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Do you know what happens to pretty young girls in juvenile detention, Zara? It's not like those fancy debate competitions you're used to. Some of those girls are violent, dangerous." Zara's mouth went dry, but she refused to show fear. "Is that supposed to scare me?" "It should," Judge Harmon said, leaning back in his chair. "Because I'll be the judge overseeing your case, and I can make sure you stay locked up until you're 18. "Why are you doing this?" Zara asked, her voice shaking despite her efforts. "To stay strong." "What did I ever do to you?" Judge Harmon smiled, but his eyes remained cold. "You? Nothing. But your father, well, that's another story." "My dad?" "Yes, your important, powerful father." Judge Harmon practically spat the words. "Marcus Washington thinks he's above the law. Always has." Zara felt confused. "My dad is a EE lawyer. He respects the law more than anyone I know." Judge Harmon laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "Is that what he tells you? That he's just a lawyer?" "I know exactly what my dad does," Zara said proudly. "He's the United States Attorney General." For a split second, Judge Harmon looked surprised again, then quickly covered it. "Yes, he certainly climbed high after leaving Lakeside. But even the Attorney General isn't above justice." "This isn't justice," Zara shot back. "This is revenge for something. What did my dad do to you?" Before Judge Harmon could answer, there was a knock at the door. Chief Benson poked his head in. "Time's up, Your Honor." Judge Harmon stood, straightening his tie. The friendly smile returned to his face, as if someone had flipped a switch. "Thank you, Chief. Miss Washington and I had a very productive chat." As Judge Harmon walked to the door, he turned back to Zara. "Think about what I said. When your case comes to my courtroom, I'll remember if you were cooperative." After he left, Chief Benson looked at Zara with concern. "Everything okay? You look upset." Zara took a deep breath. "When will my dad get here?" "We haven't heard from him yet," Chief Benson said. "Do you want to call him again?" Zara shook her head. "No, he's on his way. Can I go back to the cell to wait?" Chief Benson nodded and led her back down the hallway. As they walked, Zara saw Judge Harmon talking to Officer Jenkins by the front desk. They both looked over at her, and Judge Harmon said something that made Officer Jenkins laugh. Back in her cell, Zara sat on the bench and hugged her knees to her chest. Judge Harmon's threats echoed in her mind. He could send her to juvenile. Detention. He knew who her father was, and clearly he hated him. "Hurry, Dad," she whispered, staring at the clock on the wall. "Please, hurry." Marcus Washington stared out the window of the private jet as it cut through the clouds. His phone buzzed with another message from the White House Chief of Staff. "Need confirmation you'll attend tomorrow's national security briefing." He ignored it. Nothing was more important than Zara right now. Kim, his assistant, sat across from him, typing rapidly on her laptop. She had worked with Marcus for 8 years and knew when to speak and when to stay quiet. Right now, she was handling the flood of urgent messages coming in while he gathered his thoughts. "We land in 40 minutes, Kim said, breaking the silence. "I've arranged for a car to meet us at the airport." Marcus nodded. "Thank you." "Sir," Kim hesitated, "you haven't told me exactly what happened with Zara." Marcus sighed and rubbed his tired eyes. "She was arrested for allegedly hiding stolen jewelry in a park. A judge claims he saw her do it." "That doesn't sound like Zara at all," Kim said with a frown. "She's the most honest teenager I've ever met." "Because she wasn't hiding anything," Marcus said, his voice hard. "Someone set her up." "Who would do that? And why?" Marcus looked out the window again. "I think it's Victor Harmon." "The name doesn't ring a bell," Kim admitted. "It wouldn't. This goes back 20 years, before I joined the Justice Department." Marcus turned to face her. "Harmon was a defense attorney in Lakeside when I was a young prosecutor there. He represented a drug dealer named Ray Simmons in a case I was handling." Kim nodded, listening carefully. "During the trial, I discovered Harmon had bribed 2 witnesses to change their testimony," Marcus continued. "I reported him to the Bar Association and presented my evidence, but Harmon had powerful friends. The complaint was dismissed, and somehow I became the bad guy." "How is that possible?" Kim asked. "Harmon spread rumors that I'd fabricated evidence to win cases. Nothing was ever proven, but in a small town like Lakeside, rumors are powerful. My reputation was damaged. That's one reason I took the job in Washington when it was offered." "And you think this Harmon is behind Zara's arrest? After 20 years? Marcus nodded grimly. "I checked while you were arranging the flight. Victor Harmon became a judge 15 years ago. He's still in Lakeside. But targeting your daughter?" Kim shook her head. "That's crossing a serious line." "Some men hold grudges forever," Marcus said. "And Harmon always blamed me for blocking his ambitions. He wanted to become a federal judge eventually. My complaint, even though it was dismissed, was a permanent mark on his record." Kim closed her laptop. "What's your plan when we land?" "Get Zara out first," Marcus said firmly. "Then figure out exactly what Harmon did and make him pay for it, legally." "Do you want me to call ahead? Let the police know who's coming?" Marcus shook his head. "No. If Harmon is behind this, I don't want to show my hand too early. I need to see the situation for myself first." As the plane began its descent, Marcus thought about all the cases he'd handled as Attorney General. Corrupt politicians, organized crime bosses, terrorists. He'd faced them all without flinching. But this was different. This was his daughter. He remembered the day Zara was born, how tiny she'd felt in his arms. He'd promised then to always protect her. After her mother died from cancer last year, that promise had become even more important. "Sir," Kim interrupted his thoughts. "Senator, Bryant is calling again about the Westlake investigation. It's the 3rd time today." "Tell him I'm handling a family emergency," Marcus said. "The Westlake case will have to wait." The Westlake investigation was high profile. A senator accused of taking bribes from a defense contractor. The White House wanted it handled carefully, which is why the president had scheduled tomorrow's meeting. But even that would have to wait. The plane touched down at Lakeside Regional Airport, a small facility with just one runway. As promised, a black SUV waited for them on the tarmac. "I've booked rooms at the Lakeside Inn," Kim said as they walked to the car, "and I've rescheduled your most urgent meetings for next week." "Thank you, Kim," Marcus said. "I don't know how long this will take." "Your daughter comes first," Kim replied simply. "Everything else can wait." As they drove through familiar streets, Marcus felt a mix of emotions. He'd grown up in Lakeside, met his wife here, started his career here. But after the Harmon incident and the rumors that followed, the town had never felt the same. Now he was back, not as the hometown success story, but as a father fighting for his daughter. They passed the courthouse where Marcus had won his first case as a prosecutor. Judge Victor Harmon's name was on the directory sign out front. Courtroom 3, the Honorable Victor Harmon, Circuit Court Judge. Marcus's jaw tightened. There was nothing honorable about framing an innocent teenager. "Should I come in with you?" Kim asked as they pulled up to the police station. Marcus shook his head. "No. Take the car to the hotel. I'll call when I need you." Before getting out, Marcus removed his Justice Department pin from his lapel and put it in his pocket. He straightened his tie and took a deep breath. "Time to get my daughter back," he said. As Marcus walked toward the entrance of Lakeside Police Station, he looked like any concerned father, not the United States Attorney General. That revelation would come only if necessary. All that mattered now was Zara. Zara paced her small cell, 5 steps one way, 5 steps back. It had been almost 3 hours since her call to her dad. Where was he? The ticking clock on the wall seemed to mock her with each passing minute. The cell door opened, and Officer Jenkins appeared. "Washington, you've got another visitor." Zara's heart leaped. "My dad!" "No. Judge Harmon again. He wants to offer you a deal." A cold feeling washed over Zara. She didn't want to be anywhere near that man, but refusing might make things worse. "Do I have to go?" she asked. Officer Jenkins frowned. "Don't be difficult. The judge is doing you a favor. Most kids would be grateful for a second chance." Reluctantly, Zara followed him back to the same conference room. Judge Harmon sat in the same chair, but this time he had a document in front of him. "Thank you, officer," the judge said smoothly. "Give us a few minutes." When they were alone, Judge Harmon pushed the paper toward Zara. "A confession. Sign it, and I can make this easier for you." Zara didn't touch the paper. "I won't confess to something I didn't do." "Still playing innocent?" Judge Harmon sighed. "I thought you might be smarter than your father. More practical." "My dad taught me to always tell the truth," Zara said. Judge Harmon laughed. "Did he? How interesting. Did he also tell you about the witnesses he threatened to get his convictions? Or the evidence he manipulated?" "That's a lie." Zara stood up, anger replacing her fear. "My dad would never do that." "Sit down," Judge Harmon snapped. His face hardened. "Your father ruined my chance at a federal judgeship. 20 years on the bench in this small town, when I should have been in Washington making important decisions." "That's what this is about?" Zara asked. "You're framing me because you're mad at my dad about something that happened before I was even born?" Judge Harmon's eyes narrowed. "Your father thinks he's untouchable now with his fancy title, Attorney General." He practically spat the words. "But everyone has a weakness, Zara. And you're his." The realization hit Zara like a punch. "You knew who I was all along. You were waiting for me in that park." "Smart girl," Judge Harmon said. looking almost impressed. "Yes, I knew exactly who you were. I've been watching your routine for weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity." "But why now?" Zara asked. "Dad's been Attorney General for almost 2 years." "Because now is when it will hurt him most," Judge Harmon replied. "The Westlake investigation. Your father is building a case against Senator Bryant, one of my oldest friends. The announcement is supposed to come next week." Zara tried to keep her face neutral. She didn't know anything about this investigation, but she didn't want Judge Harmon to see that. "So, this isn't just about revenge," she said slowly. "You're trying to distract my dad from his job." Judge Harmon leaned back, looking pleased with himself. A few weeks of his daughter in juvenile detention should certainly disrupt his focus. By the time he sorts this out, the Westlake investigation will be compromised. The evidence will grow cold. Witnesses might become less cooperative. "You won't get away with this," Zara said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "My dad will figure it out." "Perhaps," Judge Harmon admitted, "but not before you spend some time in detention. And let me be clear, I can make that time." "Very unpleasant for you." He tapped the confession paper. "Sign this, and I'll make sure you get the minimum sentence. Refuse, and I'll see that you get the maximum. Either way, your father will be too busy trying to help you to focus on Senator Bryant." Zara stared at the paper but made no move to take it. "What if I tell everyone what you just told me? About framing me to distract my dad?" Judge Harmon smiled coldly. "Who would believe you? A teenage girl facing theft charges, making wild accusations against a respected judge? Please. My dad will believe me. Your father can't help you here." "Judge," Harmon said, "this is my town, my courthouse. I've been building connections here for decades, while Marcus Washington was off building his career in Washington." He stood up, straightening his tie. "Think it over. The offer expires when I leave this station. Sign the confession, and things will go easier for you. Refuse, and..." He let the threat hang in the air between them. "My dad will be here soon," Zara said, meeting his eyes. "And when he finds out what you did, if..." Judge Harmon shrugged. "I'll deal with Marcus Washington when the time comes. For now, the choice is yours." He nodded toward the confession. "You have 5 minutes to decide." As Judge Harmon walked to the door, Zara felt a knot of fear in her stomach. But something stronger was building inside her, too. Determination. She was her father's daughter. She wouldn't be bullied into confessing to a crime she didn't commit, no matter what Judge Harmon threatened. "I don't need 5 minutes," she called, after him. "I'm not signing anything." Judge Harmon turned, his face darkening. "Then I hope you enjoyed juvenile detention, Miss Washington. I hear the food is terrible." After Judge Harmon left, Officer Jenkins led Zara back to her cell. She sat on the hard bench, her heart racing. The judge's threats echoed in her mind, but she wouldn't let him see her fear. She had to be strong until her dad arrived. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Officer Jenkins emptied Zara's backpack onto a table. Detective Morris and a younger female officer watched as he sorted through her belongings. "Debate team notes," Officer Jenkins said, holding up a folder. "Speech about climate change. Nothing interesting." Detective Morris picked up Zara's science textbook and flipped through it. No hollow spaces, no hidden compartments. The younger officer, Tanya Rodriguez, looked confused. "What are we expecting to find? She's a high school student." "Judge Harmon thinks she might have more stolen items," Detective Morris explained, "or information about where the rest of the jewelry is hidden." Officer Rodriguez picked up a school newspaper from the pile. On the front page was a photo of the debate team with Zara standing in the center, holding a trophy. The headline read, "Debate Captain Leads Team to Regional Finals." She doesn't really fit the profile of a jewelry thief, Officer Rodriguez said quietly. Officer Jenkins frowned at her. Judge Harmon saw her hide the evidence. That's good enough for me. I'm just saying, Officer Rodriguez continued, straight A student, debate team captain, no record of any trouble. It seems out of character. Kids surprise you, Detective Morris said with a shrug. Sometimes the smart ones are the worst. They think they can outsmart the system. Officer Rodriguez wasn't convinced. Something about this case felt wrong to her. She had only been on the force for 2 years, but her instincts were usually good. What about her phone? She asked. Any suspicious messages or photos? Password protected, Officer Jenkins replied. We'd need a warrant to check it. The door opened, and Chief Benson walked in with Judge Harmon. Find anything? The chief asked. Officer Jenkins shook his head. Just school stuff. No other stolen items. Judge Harmon looked disappointed but not surprised. She's clever. She wouldn't keep evidence in her backpack. Sir, Officer Rodriguez spoke up. May I ask why you're so involved in this case? It's unusual for a judge to be this hands-on before charges are even filed. The room went quiet. Chief Benson looked uncomfortable. Judge Harmon turned to face Officer Rodriguez, his expression cool. I was a witness, officer. I'm simply trying to help with the investigation. By questioning the suspect alone? Officer Rodriguez asked. Twice, Chief. Benson cleared his throat. Officer Rodriguez, that's enough. Judge Harmon has been kind enough to offer his expertise. But, sir, Officer Rodriguez persisted, the evidence is just his word against hers. We found jewelry in the park, yes, but we have no proof she put it there except for Judge Harmon's statement. Judge Harmon's face hardened. Are you questioning my integrity, officer? No, Your Honor. I'm just following procedure. In cases like this, we usually need more than one witness or some physical evidence linking the suspect to the crime. The jewelry was found exactly where I said it would be, Judge Harmon said firmly. What more evidence do you need? Before Officer Rodriguez could answer, Detective Morris interrupted. We're processing her for juvenile court, Rodriguez. Judge Harmon's testimony is more than enough to move forward. Officer Rodriguez looked like she wanted to say more but thought better of it. She picked up Zara's debate team folder and pretended to examine it. Judge Harmon checked his watch. I have other matters to attend to. Chief Benson, please keep me updated on this case. After Judge Harmon and the chief left, Officer Rodriguez turned to Detective Morris. Don't you think it's strange how interested the judge is in this girl? I've never seen him get this involved in a juvenile case before. Detective Morris sighed. Look, Rodriguez, some advice. Don't question Judge Harmon. He's been on the bench for 20 years. He can make or break careers in this town. But what if the girl is telling the truth? Officer Rodriguez asked. What if she didn't hide that jewelry? Then who did? Officer Jenkins challenged. The judge? Why would he make something like that up? Officer Rodriguez didn't have an answer, but the question stayed with her as she continued looking through Zara's belongings. Why would a respected judge frame a teenage girl? It didn't make sense, unless there was something about this girl she didn't know. While the others were busy with the backpack, Officer Rodriguez quietly took her phone and did a quick search. Zara Washington Lakeside High School. The search results made her eyes widen. There was Zara at a ceremony in Washington, D.C., standing next to a tall man in a suit. The caption read, Attorney General Marcus Washington with daughter Zara at Justice Department event. Officer Rodriguez quickly put her phone away, her mind racing. Now, Judge Harmon's interest made more sense, and it had nothing to do with stolen jewelry. Marcus Washington stood at the front desk of the Lakeside Police Station, his patience wearing thin. The desk sergeant, a heavy-set man named Officer Riley, was taking his sweet time checking the computer. "I'll say it again," Marcus said firmly. "I'm here to see my daughter, Zara Washington. She was brought in a few hours ago." Officer Riley nodded slowly. "Yes, sir, I understand, but as I explained, we're processing her case right now. You'll need to wait." Marcus looked around the small waiting area. 2 plastic chairs sat against the wall near a water cooler. A bulletin board displayed wanted posters and community announcements. Nothing had changed in this station since he'd been here as a young prosecutor 20 years ago. "How long will that take?" Marcus asked, checking his watch. He knew Zara must be terrified, and every minute felt like an hour. "Hard to say," Officer Riley replied, not looking up from his computer. "Judge Harmon is personally involved in this case, so we're giving it special attention." At the mention of Harmon's name, Marcus's jaw tightened. So his suspicions were right. "I'd like to speak with whoever is in charge," Marcus said. Officer Riley sighed. "Chief Benson is busy right now. Have a seat, Mr. Washington. Someone will be with you when they can." Reluctantly, Marcus sat in one of the plastic chairs. He didn't want to cause a scene, not yet anyway. If he revealed his position as Attorney General too soon, it might just make things worse for Zara. There was clearly something personal going on, and he needed to understand the full situation before making his move. Through a window in the waiting area, Marcus could see into part of the station. Officers moved back and forth between desks. A coffee machine sat in the corner, surrounded by chatting policemen. It all seemed so normal, while his daughter sat somewhere inside, wrongfully accused. Suddenly, a door opened at the far end of the hallway, and Marcus saw a familiar face, Victor Harmon, walking out of what appeared to be an office. He looked older, his hair now gray at the temples, but Marcus would have recognized him anywhere. The man who had tried to bribe witnesses, the man who had spread rumors about Marcus after being reported to the Bar Association. Harmon was talking to a uniformed officer, nodding as if giving instructions. Marcus felt a surge of anger but forced himself to stay seated. Now wasn't the time for confrontation. As if sensing he was being watched, Harmon looked up. His eyes scanned the waiting area and locked with Marcus's. For a moment, neither man moved. Recognition dawned on Harmon's face, followed by a flash of something. Panic? Concern? Before his expression returned to neutral. Harmon quickly ended his conversation with the officer and headed toward a side exit, moving faster than necessary. Marcus almost stood to follow him, but stopped himself. Zara came first. He could deal with Harmon later. A young female officer approached the desk sergeant and whispered something. Officer Riley looked over at Marcus with new interest, then nodded to the woman. She walked over to Marcus. "Mr. Washington, I'm Officer Rodriguez. If you'll follow me, I can take you to see your daughter now." Marcus stood immediately. "Thank you." As they walked through the station, Officer Rodriguez spoke quietly. "Sir, is it true you're the Attorney General?" Marcus glanced at her, evaluating whether to trust her. Something in her expression, concern, not hostility, made him decide to be honest. "Yes," he said simply. "But right now, I'm just a father, trying to help his daughter." Officer Rodriguez nodded. "I thought so. I looked up Zara online after something about this case didn't feel right." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked, lowering his voice. "The evidence is thin," she explained. just Judge Harmon's word that he saw your daughter hide something, and he's been unusually involved in pushing this case forward." They stopped at a door marked Interview 2. "Zara's in here," Officer Rodriguez said. "I'm not supposed to say this, but I don't think she did what she's accused of. And I'm not the only officer with doubts." "Thank you for telling me," Marcus said sincerely. "Is there anything else I should know before I see her?" Officer Rodriguez hesitated. "Judge Harmon was alone with her twice. I don't know what he said, but she seemed upset afterward. And he left the station in a hurry when you arrived." Marcus nodded, filing away this information. "I appreciate your honesty, officer." "I just want to see justice done," she replied. Then she opened the door. Zara sat at a small table, her shoulders slumped with exhaustion. When she looked up and saw her father, her face transformed. She jumped to her feet, tears filling her eyes. "Dad!" Marcus rushed forward and wrapped his arms around her. She felt so small against him, so vulnerable. For a moment, he just held her tight, relief washing over him that she was physically unharmed. "I'm sorry it took so long to get here," he whispered. "Are you okay?" Zara nodded against his shoulder, trying to hold back tears. "I didn't do it, Dad. I swear I didn't." "I know, sweetheart," Marcus said, pulling back to look at her face. "I never doubted that for a second." Officer Rodriguez stayed by the door, giving them some privacy. "I'll give you two some time alone." After she left, Zara wiped her tears and sat back down. Marcus took the chair across from her. "Tell me everything," he said. "From the beginning." Zara took a deep breath and explained about walking through the park, the police finding the jewelry, and Judge Harmon claiming he'd seen her hide it. When she got to her private conversations with the judge, Marcus's expression darkened. "He threatened to send me to juvenile detention until I'm 18, Zara said, her voice shaking slightly. "He wanted me to sign a confession, but I refused." "Did he say why he was doing this?" Marcus asked. Zara nodded. "He said it was about you, that you ruined his chance to become a federal judge, and something about Senator Bryant and an investigation you're working on." Marcus's eyes widened slightly. "The Westlake case was confidential. How did Harmon know about it?" "Dad," Zara continued, "he admitted he set me up. He said he's been watching me for weeks, waiting for the right time." Marcus reached across the table and took his daughter's hand. "I'm so sorry, Zara. This is my fault. Harmon is using you to get to me." Zara shook her head firmly. "It's not your fault. It's his. He's the one breaking the law." Looking at his daughter's determined face, Marcus felt a surge of pride mixed with his anger. Even in this situation, she was thinking clearly, speaking truth. "You're right," he said, "and we're going to make sure he faces the consequences." "Wait here," Marcus told Zara. "I'm going to speak with whoever's in charge and get you released." "What if they don't listen?" Zara asked. Marcus gave her a reassuring smile. "Trust me, they'll listen." As he stepped into the hallway, Officer Rodriguez was waiting. "Chief Benson wants to see you in his office, Mr. Washington." "Good," Marcus replied, "because I want to see him too." While Officer Rodriguez led him through the station, Marcus thought about how to handle this situation. He could storm in as the Attorney General and demand Zara's release, but that might not be the best approach. Better to understand exactly what they had on Zara before revealing his position. "Wait here a moment," Officer Rodriguez said when they reached the chief's office. "I need to let him know you're here." As Marcus waited in the hallway, his mind traveled back 20 years to when he'd first encountered Victor Harmon. He'd been a young prosecutor then, just 3 years out of law school. Eager to make a name for himself, He'd been assigned a major drug trafficking case against Ray Simmons, a dealer whose operation had spread across 3 counties. The evidence had been solid: shipment records, witness statements, and even photographs of Simmons with known drug suppliers. It should have been an easy conviction. Then Victor Harmon stepped in as Simmons's defense attorney. During the trial, 2 key witnesses suddenly changed their stories. Where they had previously identified Simmons as their supplier, they now claimed they'd never met him. Marcus found it suspicious and started digging. What he discovered shocked him. A prison guard had overheard Simmons telling another inmate that Harmon took care of the witnesses. Marcus convinced the guard to give a statement, then found bank records showing large deposits in both witnesses' accounts right after they changed their testimony. Marcus remembered the day he'd walked into the offices of the State Bar Association with his evidence. He was nervous, but determined to do the right thing. Harmon was bribing witnesses, a serious ethical violation that could not be ignored. He'd expected the Bar Association to act swiftly. Instead, weeks went by with no response. Then one day, his boss called him into his office. The complaint against Harmon had been dismissed due to insufficient evidence. The prison guard had recanted his statement, claiming he'd misheard the conversation. Worse still, rumors began circulating around Lakeside that Marcus had fabricated evidence to win cases. His reputation, previously spotless, was suddenly in question. Whispers followed him in the courthouse hallways. Former colleagues kept their distance. Marcus never had proof, but he knew Harmon was behind the rumors. The man had powerful friends on the Bar Association and throughout the legal community. He'd not only escaped punishment, but had managed to turn the tables on Marcus. A job offer from the Justice Department in D.C. had come at the perfect time. Marcus took it, moving his pregnant wife away from Lakeside and the cloud hanging over his career there. He'd only returned for occasional visits to see family, and after his wife died, those visits became even less frequent. Zara had insisted on finishing high school in Lakeside while living with her grandmother, coming to D.C. only during summer breaks. Now, standing in the Lakeside police station 20 years later, Marcus realized Harmon had never forgotten, or forgiven, him for that complaint. "Mr. Washington?" Officer Rodriguez's voice pulled him from his thoughts. "Chief Benson will see you now." Inside the office, Chief Roy Benson stood up from behind his desk. He was a heavy-set man with thinning hair and a perpetual frown. "Mr. Washington, please have a seat," Chief Benson said. "I understand you're here about your daughter, Zara." Marcus sat down, keeping his expression neutral. "Yes, I'd like to know exactly why she's being held." Chief Benson cleared his throat. "She was caught with stolen property from Pearson's jewelry store. Judge Harmon witnessed her hiding items in Millfield Park." "My daughter says she didn't hide anything," Marcus replied calmly. "She was simply walking home from school." "Well, sir, with all due respect, most people claim innocence when they're caught," Chief Benson said. "But the facts speak for themselves. Judge Harmon saw her, called it in, and we found the jewelry exactly where he said it would be." "I'd like to see this evidence," Marcus said. Chief Benson hesitated, then nodded to Officer Rodriguez. "Get the evidence from Detective Morris." When Officer Rodriguez left, Marcus leaned forward. "Chief Benson, I think we both know what's really happening here." "I'm not sure what you mean, sir." "Victor Harmon and I have history," Marcus explained. "He's using my daughter to get back at me for something that happened 20 years ago." Chief Benson shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Judge Harmon is a respected member of this community. That's a serious accusation." "It is," Marcus agreed, "and I don't make it lightly." Officer Rodriguez returned with a clear evidence bag containing several pieces of jewelry, rings, necklaces, and bracelets. She handed it to Chief Benson, who passed it to Marcus. Marcus examined the jewelry carefully. "Have these been tested for fingerprints?" "Yes," Chief Benson admitted reluctantly. "There were none on them. They appear to have been wiped clean." "Convenient," Marcus said. "And did anyone check if these items actually match what was stolen from Pearson's?" "Judge Harmon confirmed they were from the robbery," Chief Benson replied. "Judge Harmon again," Marcus noted. "Has anyone from Pearson's jewelry verified this?" Officer Rodriguez spoke up. "Not yet, sir. We were planning to have Mr. Pearson come in tomorrow." Marcus handed the evidence bag back to Chief Benson. "So, you're holding my 16-year-old daughter based solely on the word of Victor Harmon. No fingerprints, no verification from the store owner, no other witnesses." Chief Benson's face reddened. "Mr. Washington, I understand your concern as a father, but—" "No," Marcus interrupted, his patience running out. "I don't think you do understand. Not just as a father, but as the United States Attorney General. I find this situation deeply troubling." The room went silent. Chief Benson's mouth opened slightly, his eyes widening. "Attorney General?" he repeated weakly. "Yes," Marcus confirmed. "And while I'm not here in my official capacity, I am very interested in why a judge would personally involve himself in framing an innocent teenager." Chief Benson shot a panicked look at Officer Rodriguez. "There must be some misunderstanding. We're just following procedure based on the evidence and witness statement." "One witness," Marcus corrected. "A witness with a 20-year grudge against me. A witness who, my daughter tells me, has threatened her and admitted to setting her up." "Sir, those are serious allegations," Chief Benson said, sweat now visible on his forehead. "They are," Marcus agreed, "and I intend to investigate them thoroughly. But first, I want my daughter released. Now." Chief Benson hesitated only briefly before nodding. "Of course, sir. Officer Rodriguez, please process Miss Washington's release immediately." As Officer Rodriguez left to get the paperwork, Chief Benson attempted to salvage the situation. "Mr. Washington, Mr. Attorney General, I assure you, if there's been any misconduct, my department had no knowledge of it." Marcus stood up. "For your sake, Chief Benson, I hope that's true. Because framing an innocent person is a serious crime. And when that person is the daughter of the Attorney General, the consequences are even more severe." With that, Marcus walked out, leaving Chief Benson staring after him. The color drained from his face. Officer Rodriguez hurried down the hallway, her mind racing. The quiet teen in the holding cell was the daughter of the U.S. Attorney General, and Judge Harmon had personally targeted her. This was bigger than anything that had ever happened. In Lakeside, she reached her desk and quickly logged into the police database. She typed Marcus Washington into the search bar and waited. Within seconds, his profile appeared on the screen. The official photo showed the same man who was currently in the station, tall, distinguished, with short-cropped hair and serious eyes. His title was clear: United States Attorney General, appointed 2 years ago. Officer Rodriguez clicked through his background information. Before becoming Attorney General, he'd worked his way up through the Justice Department. And before that, she leaned closer to the screen, he'd been a prosecutor right here in Lakeside County. 20 years ago, the same time Judge Harmon had been practicing as a defense attorney. "What are you looking at, Rodriguez?" she jumped at, the sound of Detective Morris's voice behind her. "Just checking something for a case," she said, quickly clicking away from Marcus Washington's profile. Detective Morris leaned over her shoulder. "That the girl's father?" "Yes," she admitted. "Do you know who he is?" "Some lawyer from D.C., right?" Officer Rodriguez took a deep breath. He's the United States Attorney General. Detective Morris's eyebrows shot up. What? Are you serious? Look him up if you don't believe me, she said, standing up. I need to process the girl's release. Release? Detective Morris looked confused. On whose authority? Chief Benson's, Officer Rodriguez replied. He just gave the order. She hurried away before Detective Morris could ask more questions. As she passed the break room, she overheard two officers talking. Did you see who's here? Marcus Washington. The prosecutor who left town years ago? What's he doing back? His daughter was arrested. But get this, he's the Attorney General now. Word was spreading fast. Officer Rodriguez reached the chief's office just as he was stepping out, looking flustered. Rodriguez, he called. Where are those release papers? Getting them now, sir. Hurry up, Chief Benson ordered. And find Judge Harmon. He needs to know what's happening. Judge Harmon left the station about 20 minutes ago, sir. Chief Benson ran a hand over his face. This is a mess. A complete mess. Officer Rodriguez hurried to the processing desk and grabbed the necessary forms. As she filled them out, she noticed the station buzzing with activity. News of Marcus Washington's identity was spreading like wildfire, and everyone was suddenly very interested in Zara's case. When she returned to the interview room with the release forms, Marcus was sitting with Zara, his arm around her shoulders. They looked up when she entered. I have the release papers here, Officer Rodriguez said, placing them on the table. Just need your signature, Mr. Washington. As Marcus signed the forms, Officer Rodriguez spoke quietly. Sir, everyone in the station knows who you are now. Word travels fast. Marcus nodded. I expected as much. Thank you for your help, officer. Rodriguez, I just want to see justice done, she replied. Then, lowering her voice further, she added, There's something else you should know. I just checked the database. Judge Harmon and you overlapped here in Lakeside. He was a defense attorney when you were a prosecutor. Yes, Marcus confirmed. We have history. I thought so, Officer Rodriguez said. Chief Benson is looking for him now, but he left the station right after you arrived, almost like he was avoiding you. Marcus's expression hardened. I'm not surprised. Guilty men often run when confronted. Just then, Detective Morris appeared at the door. What's going on in here? Chief Benson said something about releasing the suspect? Officer Rodriguez handed him the signed forms. She's free to go. Chief's orders. Detective Morris glanced from the papers to Marcus, recognition dawning on his face. You're the Attorney General, he said, sounding stunned. Yes, Marcus replied calmly. And this is my daughter, who was wrongfully accused. Before Detective Morris could respond, there was a commotion in the hallway. Officer Jenkins appeared, looking agitated. Morris, Rodriguez, everyone to the front desk now. Judge Harmon just called. He's demanding to know why we're releasing the Washington girl. Officer Rodriguez frowned. How did he know we were releasing her? He left before the chief gave the order. Detective Morris shrugged. Someone must have called him. As they spoke, Chief Benson rushed past the doorway, then stopped and backed up when he saw them. There you all are. Judge Harmon is on his way back. He says there's been a mistake. Marcus stood up. The only mistake was arresting my daughter on false charges. Chief Benson looked increasingly uncomfortable. Mr. Attorney General, perhaps we could discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss, Marcus replied. My daughter is leaving with me now. Officer Rodriguez helped gather Zara's belongings, while the chief and Detective Morris exchanged worried glances. As they walked toward the front of the station, the atmosphere was tense. Officers stopped what they were doing to watch them pass. Just as they reached the lobby, the front doors swung open and Judge Victor Harmon strode in. He stopped abruptly when he saw Marcus and Zara. For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. 20 years of history hung in the air between them. "Marcus Washington," Judge Harmon said, his voice tight. "It's been a long time." "Not long." "Enough, Victor," Marcus replied coldly. Judge Harmon's eyes flicked to Zara, then back to Marcus. Without another word, he turned and hurried toward a side exit. "Judge Harmon!" Chief Benson called after him. "Wait!" But the judge was already gone, the door swinging shut behind him. "Let him go," Marcus said quietly as Chief Benson moved to follow Judge Harmon. "We'll deal with him later." The chief stopped, looking uncertain. "Mr. Attorney General, I want to assure you that our department had no idea about any personal conflict between you and Judge Harmon." "We'll discuss that too," Marcus replied. "But right now, I'm taking my daughter home." He put his arm around Zara's shoulders and guided her toward the exit. Officer Rodriguez handed Zara her backpack. "Thank you," Zara said softly, meeting the high officer's eyes. Officer Rodriguez nodded. "Take care of yourself, Zara." Outside, the late afternoon sun was sinking toward the horizon. Zara took a deep breath of fresh air, as if trying to clear the smell of the police station from her lungs. "Dad's car is over there," Marcus said, pointing to a black SUV in the parking lot. "Kim brought it from the airport." As they walked, Zara suddenly stopped and threw her arms around her father, hugging him tightly. Marcus held her close, feeling her shoulders shake as she finally let out the tears she'd been holding back. "It's okay," he whispered, stroking her hair. "You're safe now." "I was so scared," Zara admitted, her voice muffled against his chest. "When they put the handcuffs on me, I couldn't believe it was happening." "I'm sorry I wasn't there sooner," Marcus said, his throat tight with emotion. Zara pulled back and wiped her eyes. "You came as fast as you could. I knew you would." They got into the car, and Marcus started the engine. As they pulled away from the police station, Zara looked back at the building where she'd spent the worst hours of her life. "Dad," she said, after they'd driven in silence for a few minutes, "Judge Harmon said terrible things about you. He said you threatened witnesses and manipulated evidence." Marcus gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Those were lies he spread after I reported him for bribing witnesses in a case I was prosecuting. He was trying to save a guilty man from prison. So you did the right thing, and he turned it around on you." "That's exactly what happened," Marcus confirmed. "The Bar Association dismissed my complaint because of his connections, and suddenly I was the one under suspicion. That's part of why we moved to D.C. Zara was quiet for a moment, processing this information. "He really hates you." "Enough to target my daughter," Marcus said, his voice hard. "That's crossing a line I won't forgive." "He told me he was watching me for weeks," Zara said, shivering at the memory. "Waiting for the right time to set me up." Marcus's face darkened. "That's stalking a minor. Another serious crime to add to the list." They turned onto Maple Street, where Zara's grandmother's house stood, a white two-story with blue shutters and a wraparound porch. As they pulled into the driveway, the front door flew open, and Grandma Vivian rushed out. "Zara!" she cried, running to meet them as they got out of the car. "Oh, my baby!" She pulled Zara into a fierce hug, then held her at arm's length to examine her. "Are you hurt? What happened? The police wouldn't tell me anything." "I'm okay." "Grandma," Zara assured her. "Dad fixed everything." Vivian turned to Marcus, tears in her eyes. "Thank God you got here so quickly. When the police called saying she'd been arrested, I couldn't believe it." "Let's go inside," Marcus suggested, noticing a neighbor watching from across the street. We have a lot to talk about. In the living room, Zara settled on the couch between her father and grandmother. As briefly as possible, she explained what had happened in the park, at the police station, and with Judge Harmon. Vivian's face grew increasingly angry as she listened. That horrible man! To think I voted for him in the judicial election! He admitted it was all to get back at Dad, Zara finished. And something about stopping an investigation into Senator Bryant. Marcus looked sharply at his daughter. He specifically mentioned Senator Bryant? Zara nodded. He said you were building a case against him, and he's one of Judge Harmon's oldest friends. The Westlake investigation? Marcus murmured. That information is classified. Harmon shouldn't know about it. What does that mean? Vivian asked. Marcus's expression was grim. It means this goes deeper than a 20-year grudge, and it's time to find out exactly what Victor Harmon is hiding. The next morning, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his phone and laptop. He'd been up since dawn, making calls and sending emails. Zara came downstairs in her pajamas, her hair still messy from sleep. "You're up early," she said, pouring herself a glass of orange juice. "Couldn't sleep," Marcus admitted. "Too much to do." Zara sat across from him. "What's the plan?" "First, we're going back to the police station," Marcus replied. "I want to formally challenge every aspect of your arrest. The evidence, Judge Harmon's statement, all of it. Do you think they'll listen now?" "They'll listen," Marcus said with confidence. "After yesterday, they know this isn't going away." An hour later, they were back at the Lakeside Police Station. This time, there was no waiting. As soon as they walked in, Officer Riley jumped up from the desk. "Mr. Attorney General, Chief Benson is expecting you." "Right this way, sir." Chief Benson stood when they entered his office, his face a mask of professional concern. "Mr. Washington, Miss Washington, please, have a seat." Also in the room was Officer Rodriguez and a nervous-looking man in a suit that Marcus didn't recognize. "This is District Attorney Peter Collins," Chief Benson explained. "I thought it would be helpful to have him join us." Marcus nodded to the DA, then got straight to the point. "I want to see every piece of evidence related to my daughter's arrest. I want to know who processed it, where it's been stored, and who has had access to it." Chief Benson cleared his throat. "Of course, Officer. Rodriguez has prepared everything for your review." Officer Rodriguez placed a file on the desk. "This contains all documentation related to the case, sir." Marcus opened the file and began reviewing the contents. Arrest report, evidence log, photos of the jewelry found in the park. He looked up at Chief Benson. "I notice there's no fingerprint." Analysis report. "The jewelry was wiped clean," Chief Benson explained. "No usable prints." "Convenient," Marcus remarked. "What about the security footage from the park?" Chief Benson looked confused. "Security footage?" "Yes," Marcus said. "Millfield. Park has cameras at all major entrances. The city installed them 2 years ago after that series of vandalism incidents." Officer Rodriguez looked surprised. "We didn't check for camera footage." "Why not?" Marcus asked, his voice sharp. "It's standard procedure in any criminal investigation." "Judge Harmon was an eyewitness," Chief Benson said defensively. "We had no reason to doubt his statement." "No reason except my daughter's insistence that she was innocent," Marcus replied coldly. "I want that footage pulled immediately." District Attorney Collins spoke up for the first time. "Mr. Washington, I've reviewed this case, and I've already decided to drop all charges against your daughter. There's simply not enough evidence to proceed." "Dropping the charges isn't enough," Marcus said firmly. "My daughter was wrongfully arrested and detained based on false testimony from Judge Harmon. I want to see that security footage." Chief Benson nodded to Officer Rodriguez. "Get the footage from the park. All cameras covering yesterday afternoon from 2:00 to 4:00 p.m. As Officer Rodriguez left to retrieve the footage, Marcus turned to the district attorney. "Mr. Collins, are you aware that Judge Harmon has a personal vendetta against me stemming from a case 20 years ago?" The DA shifted uncomfortably. "I've heard rumors, but—" "It's not rumors," Marcus interrupted. "I reported him to the Bar Association for bribing witnesses. He's been holding a grudge ever since, and now he's used his position to target my daughter." "That's a serious accusation against a sitting judge," Collins said. "I don't make it lightly," Marcus replied. "My daughter says Judge Harmon admitted to setting her up. He threatened her with juvenile detention if she didn't sign a false confession." Chief Benson looked alarmed. "She never mentioned that to us." "Would you have believed her?" Marcus asked pointedly. "A 16-year-old girl accusing a respected judge?" Before Chief Benson could answer, Officer Rodriguez returned with a laptop. "I've got the security footage from Millfield Park," she announced. "All 4 entrance cameras." They gathered around as she set up the laptop on Chief Benson's desk. She pulled up the video file from the west entrance camera, the one nearest to where Zara had been arrested. "Start at 2:30 p.m., Marcus instructed. Zara's debate club ended at 2:45, and she would have reached the park around 3:20. Officer Rodriguez fast-forwarded to 2:30 p.m. and let the video play. They watched people enter and exit the park. Joggers, parents with strollers, dog walkers. At 2:52 p.m., a familiar black car pulled up near the entrance. "That's Judge Harmon's car," Chief Benson said, his voice tight. They watched as Judge Harmon got out of his car and entered the park. He looked around carefully, then walked toward the area where the jewelry would later be found. "Can you switch to another camera that might show that area better?" Marcus asked. Officer Rodriguez pulled up footage from a different angle. This camera had a partial view of the walking path. At 2:57 p.m., Judge Harmon appeared in the frame. He looked around, again, then reached into his pocket and appeared to drop something into the bushes beside the path. Zara gasped. "That's where they found the jewelry." They continued watching as Judge Harmon walked back toward the park entrance, stopping to make a phone call. "That must be when he called in the anonymous tip," Officer Rodriguez said quietly. At 3:05 p.m., Zara appeared on the footage, walking along the path with her backpack. She passed right by the spot where Judge Harmon had been, but didn't stop or do anything suspicious. Minutes later, police cars arrived and officers approached Zara. When the video ended, the room was silent. Finally, District Attorney Collins spoke. "This is disturbing, to say the least." "It's criminal," Marcus corrected him. "Judge Harmon planted evidence and made a false police report. He framed my daughter. I want him arrested and charged immediately." Chief Benson looked pale. "Mr. Washington, we can't just arrest a sitting judge without—" "Without what?" Marcus demanded. "Without evidence. You just saw the evidence. Judge Harmon committed multiple crimes, all captured on camera." "We should at least question him first," District Attorney Collins suggested. "Get his side of the story." Marcus stood up, his patience at an end. "Fine. Where is he now?" "Probably at the courthouse," Chief Benson replied. "He has a full docket today." "Then that's where we're going," Marcus decided. He turned to Zara. "Are you okay with this? Confronting him?" Zara nodded, her face determined. "Absolutely. I want to see his face when he realizes he's been caught." As they prepared to leave, Officer Rodriguez spoke up. "Sir, there's one more thing you should know. When we searched Judge Harmon's name in our call records, we found something odd. He called the station yesterday, right after Mr. Washington revealed he was the Attorney General. before anyone could have told him about it. How would he know that? Chief Benson wondered. That's a good question, Marcus said grimly. And I intend to get an answer. The Lakeside County Courthouse was an imposing building with tall white columns and wide stone steps. Marcus and Zara climbed those steps with Chief Benson, District Attorney Collins, and Officer Rodriguez following close behind. Inside, the main hallway was busy with lawyers, defendants, and courthouse staff hurrying in different directions. A directory board showed that Judge Harmon was presiding in Courtroom 3. He's in the middle of a trial, Chief Benson said. We should wait until the lunch break. No, Marcus replied firmly. This can't wait. As they approached Courtroom 3, Marcus turned to Zara. Are you sure you want to be here for this? Zara nodded. I need to see it. Marcus pushed open the heavy wooden doors. Inside, Judge Harmon sat on the bench in his black robe, looking down at a nervous defendant. He was in the middle of delivering a sentence when he noticed the group entering his courtroom. The words died in his throat as he recognized Marcus and Zara. For a moment, Judge Harmon seemed frozen, his face draining of color. Your Honor, the defense attorney in the case said, is everything all right? Judge Harmon blinked, trying to regain his composure. We'll take a 15-minute recess, he announced, banging his gavel. Court is temporarily adjourned. As people began filing out, looking confused by the sudden break, Judge Harmon rose from the bench and disappeared through a door behind his seat. He's running, Zara said. Marcus nodded to Officer Rodriguez. Is there another exit from his chambers? No, she replied. The only other door leads to the hallway, and we'd see him come out. Marcus turned to Chief Benson. I think it's time for you to do your job, Chief. Chief Benson looked uncomfortable, but nodded. Yes, sir. He signaled to Officer Rodriguez to follow him as they headed toward the judge's chambers. While they waited, District Attorney Collins approached Marcus. Mr. Washington, I want you to know I had no idea about any of this. If Judge Harmon has been engaging in misconduct, my office will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. I appreciate that, Marcus said, keeping his eyes on the door to the judge's chambers. A few minutes later, Chief Benson and Officer Rodriguez emerged with Judge Harmon between them. The judge had removed his robe and looked smaller somehow, his shoulders hunched. He wants to speak with you privately, Chief Benson told Marcus. Anything he has to say, he can say in front of my daughter, Marcus replied. She's the one he wronged. Judge Harmon's eyes flicked to Zara, then back to Marcus. You saw the footage. It wasn't a question. We did, Marcus confirmed. It shows you planting evidence to frame my daughter. A clear case of tampering with evidence, false reporting, abuse of power, and considering Zara's age, child endangerment. Judge Harmon's face hardened. You ruined my career once before, Marcus. I wasn't going to let you do it again with Bryant. So, this was about protecting Senator Bryant from my investigation? Bryant is a good man, Judge Harmon insisted. He doesn't deserve to have his life destroyed because of a few campaign donations. A few campaign donations? Marcus repeated incredulously. Bryant took millions in bribes from Westlake Industries in exchange for defense contracts. People died because of faulty equipment those contracts provided to our soldiers. Judge Harmon looked away. You don't understand how things work. Sometimes compromises. Don't talk to me about compromises, Marcus cut him off. You were willing to send my 16-year-old daughter to juvenile detention to protect a corrupt senator. There's no compromise that justifies that. How did... You know, Mr. Washington had revealed he was the Attorney General? Officer Rodriguez asked suddenly. You called the station minutes after it happened. Judge Harmon's eyes darted nervously around the room. I don't know what you're talking about. Someone at the station called you, Marcus realized. Who was it, Victor? Who's been helping you? Before Judge Harmon could answer, Officer Jenkins appeared at the courtroom door. When he saw Judge Harmon surrounded by Chief Benson and the others, he froze. Jenkins? Chief Benson called out. What are you doing here? Officer Jenkins turned to run, but Officer Rodriguez moved quickly, blocking his path. He's been Judge Harmon's source, she said. I saw him on his phone right after you revealed who you were, Mr. Washington. Chief Benson looked from Jenkins to Harmon. Is this true? Neither man answered, but their expressions said everything. I want both of them in custody, Marcus told Chief Benson, and I want phone records pulled for both of them. I need to know who else they've been talking to. As Officer Rodriguez handcuffed a protesting Jenkins, Zara stepped forward to face Judge Harmon. You were going to ruin my life, she said, her voice steady despite the anger beneath it. All to protect yourself and your friend. Judge Harmon couldn't meet her eyes. It wasn't personal. It was to me, Zara replied. And now, everyone will know what you did. Judge Harmon stared at Zara for a long moment, then looked away. As Chief Benson led him and Officer Jenkins out of the courtroom, District Attorney Collins turned to Marcus. We need search warrants for both their homes, offices, and vehicles immediately. Marcus nodded. I agree, and I want to be there when they search Harmon's property. Dad, Zara said, do you think there's more evidence about Senator Bryant? Almost certainly, Marcus replied. Harmon wouldn't risk everything just based on friendship. There has to be something connecting them more directly. 2 hours later, Marcus and Zara stood outside Judge Harmon's large colonial-style house as police officers carried boxes of documents to their cars. Officer Rodriguez approached them, holding a set of car keys. We're ready to search his car now, she said. It's in the garage. They followed her to a detached two-car garage. Inside was the black sedan they had seen on the security footage. Officer Rodriguez unlocked it and began a methodical search, starting with the glove compartment. Look at this, she said, pulling out a small velvet bag similar to the one that had held the planted jewelry. Inside were several store receipts. Marcus examined them closely. These are from Pearson's jewelry store, dated the day before Zara's arrest. He bought items identical to those reported stolen in the break-in. So he staged the whole robbery? Zara asked. Looks like it, Officer Rodriguez confirmed. We checked with Mr. Pearson earlier today. He said the items found in the park weren't actually from the store inventory. He assumed they were similar pieces from another store. As they continued, searching the car, Zara noticed something under the driver's seat. What's that? Officer Rodriguez reached down and pulled out a small notebook. Inside were handwritten notes detailing Zara's schedule, when she left school, which days she had debate club, and the route she usually took home. He was stalking me, Zara said, her voice shaking slightly. Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. We're adding that to the charges against him. In the trunk, they found more damning evidence. A folder containing information about Marcus's career, photos of Zara coming and going from school, and several news articles about the Westlake investigation that hadn't been published yet. These are internal Justice Department documents, Marcus said, holding up several pages. He shouldn't have access to these. Officer Rodriguez bagged everything carefully. The search team found a laptop and several external hard drives in his home office. Our tech team is going through them now. They moved from the garage back to the house, where more officers were methodically working through each room. In Judge Harmon's home office, Detective Morris was examining the contents of a safe they had opened. Mr. Washington, you should see. This, he called out. Inside the safe were stacks of cash, several burner phones, and a thumb drive labeled Bryant Insurance. "What's on the drive?" Marcus asked. "We don't know yet," Detective Morris replied. "We'll need to check it securely." Marcus turned to Officer Rodriguez. "I want to know who he's been calling on those burner phones. And I want that thumb drive analyzed immediately." As they were preparing to leave, a young officer approached them from the basement. "Sir, we found something else you should see." They followed him downstairs to a small room that had been set up as a kind of command center. A large cork board on one wall held photos, newspaper clippings, and sticky notes all connected by red string. In the center was a large photo of Marcus. "This is disturbing," Officer Rodriguez said quietly. The board documented Marcus's career, his family, and his current investigations. Notes in Judge Harmon's handwriting revealed his obsession and detailed his plan to use Zara to distract Marcus from the Westlake case. But the most shocking discovery was a separate section devoted to other teens who had appeared in Judge Harmon's courtroom over the years. Dozens of photos of young people, mostly minorities, with notes about their cases and sentences. "What is this?" Zara asked, staring at the wall of faces. Marcus moved closer, reading some of the notes. His expression darkened. "These are all teens he sent to juvenile detention, many for minor offenses or on flimsy evidence. Why would he keep track of them like this?" Officer Rodriguez wondered. Marcus pointed to a series of numbers next to each name. "These look like some kind of code or reference numbers." Detective Morris joined them, looking at the board. "I recognize some of these kids. They all went to Lakeside Juvenile Detention Center." "Is there anything connecting them besides Judge Harmon?" Marcus asked. Detective Morris thought for a moment. "Not that I can think of. But the Lakeside Juvenile Center was privatized about 10 years ago. It's run by a company called Secure Future Facilities now." Marcus took out his phone and did a quick search. What he found made his blood run cold. "Secure Future Facilities is a subsidiary of Westlake Industries," he said, "the same company paying bribes to Senator Bryant." Zara looked from the board to her father. "What does that mean?" "It means," Marcus replied grimly, "that Judge Harmon wasn't just settling a personal score, he was protecting a much bigger operation. One that's been making money off kids like you for years." Zara stared at the wall of faces, teenagers not much different from herself. "They were all sent to detention by Judge Harmon?" "Yes," Detective Morris confirmed, scanning the photos. "Some for serious offenses, but many for minor things. Shoplifting, trespassing, small amounts of marijuana, the kinds of things that usually get community service or probation." Marcus examined the notes beside each photo. "Look at the sentences. Much longer than standard guidelines recommend. And almost all of these teens are Black or Hispanic." Officer Rodriguez had been taking photos of everything with her department camera. She stopped, looking troubled. "Are you saying Judge Harmon was deliberately targeting minority youth and giving them excessive sentences?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Marcus replied. "The question is why?" "Money," Zara said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "You said the detention center is owned by Westlake Industries. Do they get paid for each kid who's there?" Marcus nodded, impressed by his daughter's quick thinking. "Yes, private detention. Facilities are paid by the state based on how many beds are filled and for how long. More kids, longer sentences, more profit." Detective Morris looked sick, and Judge Harmon was helping fill those beds. "We need to bring him in for questioning right now," Marcus said. "And I want access to that thumb drive immediately." Back at the police station, Judge Harmon sat in an interview room, his lawyer beside him. The same room where Zara had been questioned just yesterday. though it felt like a lifetime ago. Through the one-way glass, Marcus and Zara watched as Chief Benson and District Attorney Collins entered to begin the interrogation. "Victor Harmon," Chief Benson began, "you're being charged with evidence tampering, filing a false police report, witness intimidation, and child endangerment. These are serious charges that could send you to prison for years." Judge Harmon's lawyer leaned forward. "My client understands the situation. We might be open to discussing a deal." "A deal?" District Attorney Collins repeated. "What could you possibly offer that would warrant leniency?" Judge Harmon himself spoke up. "Information about Senator Bryant and Westlake Industries. Everything I know about their operation." Marcus turned to Detective Morris, who was standing nearby. "Has your tech team accessed that thumb drive yet?" "Yes, sir," Detective Morris replied. "It contains financial records, emails, and photos linking Senator Bryant directly to Westlake executives. There are records of payments to Judge Harmon, too. Substantial ones." "So he wasn't just protecting a friend," Zara observed. "He was protecting himself, too." "Exactly," Marcus confirmed. "He was on their payroll." Inside the interview room, Judge Harmon was becoming agitated. "You don't understand the pressure I was under. Bryant and Westlake have connections everywhere. When they found out Washington was investigating them, they called me. They knew about our history. They said I had to distract him somehow, or they'd expose my involvement." "Your involvement in what?" Chief Benson pressed. Judge Harmon sighed heavily. "The juvenile sentencing program. For 10 years, I've been helping ensure Lakeside Juvenile Detention Center maintains high occupancy. In return, I received certain financial considerations." "You've been sending innocent kids to detention for money?" District Attorney Collins looked disgusted. "Not innocent," Judge Harmon insisted. "They all committed some offense. I just ensured their sentences were appropriate for the facility's needs." Outside the room, Zara turned to her father, her face a mix of anger and disbelief. "He's talking about kids' lives like they're just inventory." "That's exactly how Westlake sees them," Marcus replied grimly, "as profit generators." In the interview room, Judge Harmon was continuing his confession. When Bryant learned about the investigation, he panicked. He knew Washington had evidence of the defense contract bribes, but he didn't think Washington knew about the juvenile detention operation yet. "I was supposed to create a distraction, something personal that would derail the investigation temporarily while they covered their tracks." "So you targeted his daughter," Chief Benson said. Judge Harmon nodded slowly. "It was supposed to be simple. Plant some evidence, get her arrested, tie Washington up for a few weeks dealing with juvenile court. I didn't expect him to arrive so quickly, or for there to be security footage of the park." "What about Officer Jenkins, District Attorney?" Collins asked. "How was he involved?" "He's been my informant at the station for years," Judge Harmon admitted. "He alerts me when certain types of juvenile cases come in, ones that might be suitable for detention. In return, I made sure his brother-in-law got a good job at Westlake." Outside, Marcus turned to Detective Morris. "I want a complete list of every juvenile Judge Harmon has sentenced in the past 10 years. Every single case." "That will be hundreds of cases," Detective Morris replied. "I don't care if it's thousands," Marcus said firmly. "Each one represents a young life he may have damaged for profit." Zara had been quiet, watching Judge Harmon through the glass. Now she spoke softly. "He doesn't even seem sorry for what he did to all those kids. Just sorry he got caught." "People like Harmon rarely feel remorse," Marcus explained. "They justify their actions however they can." Inside the room, Judge Harmon was negotiating his plea deal, offering names, dates, and details in exchange for Reduced charges. His face showed calculation, not contrition. "I want immunity," he demanded. "Full immunity in exchange for everything I know about Bryant and Westlake." District Attorney Collins shook his head. "No immunity. The best I can offer is a recommendation for reduced sentencing based on your cooperation. But you will serve time, Judge Harmon. That's non-negotiable." Judge Harmon looked defeated. "Fine. I'll tell you everything, but I want protection. When this gets out, Westlake won't be happy." As the interview continued, Marcus put his arm around Zara's shoulders. "You helped uncover something huge here, something that's hurt hundreds of kids and their families. All because he tried to frame me," Zara said, still watching Judge Harmon through the glass. "If he had picked someone else." "But he didn't," Marcus said. "He picked you. And because of your strength in standing up to him, all of this is coming to light." The news about Judge Harmon's arrest spread quickly through Lakeside. By the next morning, reporters had gathered outside the police station, eager for details about the judge who had been sending innocent teens to detention for profit. Inside, Marcus sat with Chief Benson, reviewing the growing list of cases that would need to be re-examined. "So far, we've identified at least 87 juveniles currently in detention whose sentences were handed down by Judge Harmon," Chief Benson reported. "Most are for minor offenses that wouldn't typically result in detention. I want emergency release orders processed for all of them," Marcus said firmly. "These kids need to go home to their families while their cases are properly reviewed." "The paperwork has already started," Chief Benson assured him. "District Attorney Collins is personally overseeing it." Zara, who had been sitting quietly nearby, spoke up. "What about the ones who've already served their time? The ones who lost months or years of their lives?" Marcus sighed. "That's going to be a longer process. We'll need to set up a special task force to review every case and determine appropriate compensation." "Will they get an apology at least?" Zara pressed. "Yes," Marcus promised. "A formal public apology from the Justice Department and the state." Officer Rodriguez knocked on the door, then entered with a tablet in her hand. "Sir, the first group of juveniles is being released from the detention center right now. I thought you might want to see." She turned the tablet around to show a live news feed. Teenagers were walking out of the Lakeside Juvenile Detention Center, many looking confused but happy as they were reunited with crying parents and family members. Some carried small bags containing their only possessions. Others simply walked out with nothing but the clothes they wore. "Look at how young some of them are," Zara said quietly. Marcus nodded. "The youngest we've identified so far was 13, sentenced to 6 months for stealing a bicycle." Outside the detention center, reporters were interviewing the released teens and their families. One mother, holding her son tightly, spoke through tears. "He's been gone for 9 months, for tagging a wall with graffiti. 9 months of his life, gone." Chief Benson looked away, clearly uncomfortable. "I should have questioned some of these sentences. We all should have." "Judge Harmon had everyone fooled," Marcus said. "He was careful to stay just within legal boundaries while abusing his power." Another knock at the door, and District Attorney Collins entered, looking pleased. "We've just received Judge Harmon's full signed confession. He's named everyone involved in the scheme, from Senator Bryant all the way down to the administrators at the detention center who falsified reports to justify keeping kids longer." "What about Officer Jenkins?" Zara asked. "He's cooperating too," Collins replied. "Apparently, he didn't know the full extent of what was happening. He thought he was just giving Judge Harmon a heads up about certain cases, not participating in a profit scheme." Marcus wasn't convinced. He still helped target vulnerable kids. He should face consequences. He will, Collins assured him, but his cooperation is helping us move quickly on the releases. Zara stood up and walked to the window, watching the reporters outside. Can I go talk to them? Tell them what happened to me? Marcus hesitated. Are you sure you're ready for that? Once your story is public, things might get intense. I'm sure, Zara said firmly. If hearing what happened to me helps those other kids feel less alone, or helps their families understand what happened, then I want to do it. Marcus looked at his daughter with pride. Okay, but I'll be right beside you. They walked out of the police station together, facing the crowd of reporters who surged forward, shouting questions. Mr. Attorney General, is it true Judge Harmon was taking bribes? Is Westlake Industries being investigated? What about Senator Bryant's involvement? Marcus raised his hand for quiet. I'll make a brief statement, and then my daughter would like to speak. The reporters fell silent, cameras focused on them. Yesterday, evidence came to light showing that Judge Victor Harmon has been engaged in a criminal conspiracy to send juveniles, primarily minority youth, to a private detention facility owned by Westlake Industries. This was done for profit, with Judge Harmon receiving payments for maintaining high occupancy rates at the facility. The Justice Department is working with local authorities to secure the immediate release of all affected juveniles while their cases are reviewed. He turned to Zara, who stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nervousness. My name is Zara Washington. Yesterday, Judge Harmon had me arrested for a crime I didn't commit. He planted evidence and lied to the police, all to distract my father from investigating Westlake Industries and Senator Bryant. As Zara continued her story, cameras flashed and reporters scribbled notes. She described how Judge Harmon had threatened her with juvenile detention, how he had admitted to setting her up, and how his scheme had ultimately led to the discovery of his larger operation targeting other teens. Officer Rodriguez stood behind them, watching with respect as the 16-year-old girl calmly exposed a system that had failed so many. When Zara finished speaking, a reporter called out, "What happens next?" Marcus stepped forward again. Justice happens next, for every child affected by this scheme, and for everyone involved in perpetrating it. As they walked back into the station, Zara felt lighter somehow, as if telling her story had released something heavy she'd been carrying. You did good out there, Marcus told her. Really good. 3 days later, Zara sat on the porch swing at her grandmother's house, watching the sunset. The neighborhood was quiet except for the distant sounds of children playing and sprinklers, watering lawns. Everything looked so normal, as if the world hadn't been turned upside down just a few days ago. The front door opened, and Marcus stepped out with 2 glasses of lemonade. He handed one to Zara and sat beside her on the swing. "How are you feeling?" he asked. Zara took a sip before answering. "Okay, I think. Still processing everything." "That's understandable," Marcus said. "You've been through a lot." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the swing creaking gently beneath them. News trucks had finally stopped parking on their street, moving on to the detention center and courthouse for their coverage. "Dad?" Zara said finally. "Why didn't you ever tell me about Judge Harmon? About what happened before I was born?" Marcus sighed. "I should have, but it was a difficult time in my life. Having my integrity questioned, feeling forced to leave a job I loved. I guess I wanted to protect you from that part of my past. But if I had known, maybe I would have been more careful in the park. Maybe I would have recognized him." "Maybe," Marcus admitted. "But we can't change what happened. And in a strange way, Your arrest uncovered something much bigger than our old conflict. Zara nodded, thinking about the dozens of teenagers who had been released from detention over the past few days. Those other kids, some of them were locked up for years. My experience was terrible, but it was just one day. I can't imagine what they went through. The system failed them, Marcus said. People who should have been protecting them were exploiting them instead. Is that why you became a prosecutor? To protect people? Marcus smiled. Yes, I always believed in justice. Real justice, not what powerful people decide it should be. That's why I reported Harmon all those years ago, even knowing it might hurt my career. Zara thought about this. I want to help those kids somehow, the ones who were in detention. Is there something I can do? Actually, there might be, Marcus replied. We're setting up a support program for them. Counseling, educational assistance, job training. Having someone close to their age involved could be valuable. I'd like that, Zara said, feeling a sense of purpose growing inside her. What had happened to her was awful, but it had opened her eyes to injustices she might never have seen otherwise. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. She opened it and saw Senator Bryant's face on the screen. Senator Bryant was arrested this morning, she read aloud. Federal agents took him into custody at his home in Washington, D.C. He faces charges of bribery, conspiracy, and fraud related to defense contracts with Westlake Industries. Marcus nodded. The evidence on that thumb drive was conclusive, and Judge Harmon's testimony filled in the remaining gaps. What about the Westlake executives? Zara asked. Arrests are happening as we speak, Marcus said. The company's stock is crashing. I don't think they'll recover from this. Zara set her phone down. Good. They made money by ruining kids' lives. Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. You know, throughout this whole ordeal, you've shown incredible strength. Many adults wouldn't have handled it as well as you did. I was terrified, Zara admitted. When they put those handcuffs on me, when Judge Harmon threatened me, I've never been so scared. Being brave doesn't mean not feeling fear, Marcus said. It means facing that fear and doing what's right anyway. And that's exactly what you did. Grandma Vivian came out onto the porch with a plate of cookies. You two solving all the world's problems out here? Just reflecting, Marcus replied, taking a cookie. It's been quite a week. That it has, Vivian agreed, sitting in a rocking chair across from them. I'm just thankful it's over, and our girl is safe. It's not really over though, is it? Zara said. Those kids who were released, their lives are changed forever. And the ones Judge Harmon sentenced years ago, they've missed so much they can never get back. Marcus nodded solemnly. You're right. The damage can't be undone. But we can work to make sure it doesn't happen again, and we can help those who were hurt rebuild their lives. Is that what justice looks like? Zara asked. Not just punishing the bad guys, but helping the victims? That's exactly what it should look like, Marcus confirmed. True justice isn't just about consequences for wrongdoing, it's about making things right as much as possible. Zara thought about her debate team's speech on climate change, which now seemed so long ago. She had been passionate about that cause, but now she felt a new purpose forming. Perhaps her future lay in fighting for justice like her father, but focused on reforming the juvenile justice system that had failed so many. I think I know what I want to do after high school, she said suddenly. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Oh, I want to study law, like you did, but I want to focus on juvenile justice reform. Marcus smiled with pride. I think you'd be amazing at that. The experience changed you, Grandma Vivian observed. Terrible as it was, it shaped what you care about. Zara nodded. I keep thinking about what Judge Harmon said, that it wasn't personal. For him, I was just a pawn in his game against Dad. But for those other kids, they weren't even pawns. They were just profit. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, the three of them sat together on the porch, bound by shared experience and a new understanding of justice and injustice. What had begun as a personal attack had revealed a system in desperate need of change. And Zara Washington, once a victim of that system, was now determined to be part of changing it. 1 month after Judge Harmon's arrest, life in Lakeside had begun to return to normal. Zara was back in school, though now people looked at her differently, with respect and sometimes awe. Being at the center of the biggest scandal in town history had changed her social status completely. "There she is," whispered students as she walked down the hallway. "The girl who took down Judge Harmon." Zara tried to ignore the attention. What mattered to her now was the work she was doing after school, volunteering at the newly established Youth Justice Center. The center had been set up to help teens who had been wrongfully detained under Judge Harmon's scheme. That afternoon, as Zara helped a 17-year-old boy named Deshaun with his math homework, Officer Rodriguez walked in. She was no longer in uniform, having been appointed to lead the Youth Justice Center. "Hey, Zara," she called. "Your dad's here. Says he has something important to show you." Zara found Marcus waiting in the center's small office. He looked tired but excited. "What's up?" she asked. "Officer Rodriguez, sorry, Director Rodriguez now, got permission for us to access some files from Judge Harmon's office," Marcus explained. "I think you should see them." He opened his laptop and pulled up a folder of documents. These were in a hidden compartment behind his bookshelf. The police almost missed them during their search. Zara sat beside him and looked at the screen. The first document was a chart with columns of names, dates, and dollar amounts. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "Payments," Marcus said grimly, "from the Secure Future Facilities Corporation to various officials in Lakeside and 2 neighboring counties. Judge Harmon kept detailed records of every bribe." Zara scanned the list, shocked to recognize names of teachers, police officers, and even a school principal. All these people were involved? In different ways, Marcus explained. Some referred troubled students to the juvenile courts. Others testified about behavioral problems to support harsher sentences. Each played a small role in the pipeline, sending kids to detention. But why would Judge Harmon keep records that could incriminate him? Zara wondered. "Insurance," Marcus replied. "If Westlake ever tried to cut him loose, he had evidence against everyone involved. That's what was on the thumb drive labeled Bryant Insurance, too." He clicked to another document, a map of the state with 3 counties highlighted. The same scheme was operating in these other counties, too, with different judges running the same playbook Harmon used here. Zara felt her stomach twist. "So, it's even bigger than we thought." "Much bigger," Marcus confirmed. "The Justice Department is launching a full investigation into juvenile detention practices nationwide. What happened here in Lakeside may just be the tip of the iceberg." As Marcus continued showing her documents, a notification popped up on his screen. A news alert about Officer Jenkins. "Jenkins was found dead in his cell this morning," Marcus read aloud, his voice grave. "Apparent suicide." "Suicide?" Zara repeated, shocked. "But he was cooperating with the investigation." "He knew a lot," Marcus said. "Maybe too much." Director Rodriguez knocked and entered the office. "I just heard about Jenkins. This isn't good." "No, it's not," Marcus agreed. "We need to make sure Judge Harmon has extra security. If someone is trying to silence witnesses," Rodriguez nodded. "I'll make some calls." After she left, Zara turned to her father. Do you think someone from Westlake arranged for Jenkins to be killed? It's possible, Marcus admitted. These corporations have a lot at stake. Millions of dollars in government contracts for their detention facilities. They won't go down without a fight. They spent the next hour going through more of Judge Harmon's files. The deeper they dug, the more complex and disturbing the picture became. Look at this, Zara said, pointing to a spreadsheet. Average sentence length increased every year since the detention center was privatized, and the racial disparity in sentencing got worse too. Marcus nodded grimly. Profit was the priority, not justice. As they were finishing, Deshawn appeared in the doorway. Ms. Washington? I finished that math homework. Could you check it? Sure, Zara replied. I'll be right there. After Deshawn left, Marcus looked at his daughter with pride. You're making a real difference with these kids. I'm just helping with homework, Zara said modestly. It's more than that, Marcus insisted. You're showing them someone cares. After what they've been through, that matters. As they packed up to leave, Marcus's phone rang. It was Kim, his assistant in D.C. Sir, I think you should turn on the news, she said urgently. Senator Bryant just gave a press conference. He's naming names. Top executives at Westlake, other senators, even a federal judge who was part of their network. Marcus quickly pulled up the news on his laptop. Senator Bryant's face filled the screen, looking haggard as he spoke to reporters. In exchange for leniency, Bryant was saying, I am providing federal prosecutors with complete details of Westlake's operations, including their juvenile detention profit scheme. This corrupt system extends far beyond Lakeside County, reaching into at least 15 states. Zara watched in stunned silence as Bryant continued, revealing the shocking scope of Westlake's operation. It wasn't just about keeping detention centers full. The company had been using detained juveniles as essentially free labor for various manufacturing contracts, earning millions while paying them pennies per hour. When the clip ended, Zara looked at her father. 15 states? How could this happen across the whole country without anyone noticing? People did notice, Marcus replied. Activists, some public defenders, families of detained youth. But they were up against powerful corporations with political connections. Their voices were ignored. Until now, Zara said. Marcus nodded. Until now, because someone they thought was just a teenage girl fought back. Because you refused to be silenced. As they left the Youth Justice Center together, Zara thought about how one moment, her walk through Millfield Park, had changed not just her life, but potentially the lives of thousands of young people across the country. A frame-up meant to distract her father had instead exposed a national scandal. What happens next? She asked, as they walked to the car. Justice, Marcus answered simply. Slow, difficult, imperfect justice, but justice nonetheless. And for Zara Washington, that was enough to start with. That was the end of this story. I hope you enjoyed this emotional story of justice, family, bonds, and the courage to stand up against corruption. Where are you listening from today? Drop your location in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging stories that spread awareness about important issues. New videos every week. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Together, we can spread kindness and raise awareness about the need for justice system reforms, especially for vulnerable youth. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.